Hello, welcome to Paving Paradise, a podcast dedicated to the asphalt paving industry. I'm Justin Rodriguez.
And I'm Scott Ramsey.
We got it.
We're getting better at that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
After what, are we episode 10 now? And
Yeah.
we're finally getting it down? Yeah.
So how's your week going?
It's going good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been hot.
It has been hot.
Yeah, it's been way
It was
hot.
weird. It's cool at the beginning of the week and then it warmed up.
Yeah,
So-
I had guys up in Paso and they were all sending me texts on their trucks. It was 108 degrees up there, and yeah, it's hot.
That's hot,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been continuing doing some Asphalt Institute courses.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, I did one on compaction, and then our internet connection cut out. So like, I had all
Halfway
the guys
through?
here. No, luckily we got like 2/3 of it in, but like the final, when they finish and kind of like remind you about everything, and it's good to get like the end of the class, but we lost the connection on the internet and like it just went out in the area here, so I didn't get that. And then I did one this morning, and I didn't get to finish it because I had to run out and do an estimate, but I did one on pavement distress and reasons and how to avoid it and all that stuff. So that was a good class. And we did another one on joint construction.
Nice.
So, but the compaction
Which is
episode,
right in line with what we're talking about
that's
today.
right. So
Compaction.
So let's get down to it. We're going to talk about asphalt compaction, why it's important, meeting the densities and getting that material nice and tight on the ground, and that way our customers know that when they go out there, like using a responsible contractor that has some experience, they know how to get the mat laid down properly, and compaction is a big critical part.
Well, and actually, compaction, when it comes to asphalt, compaction and density is really the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen projects where Caltrans or a municipality, they spec out the ugliest mix you've ever seen. It's rocky and grainy and bony, but if you get compaction on it and you get density on it, it's going to last a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's the thing. I think that's why it is paramount that, we cover some certain topics in this episode just because compaction is everything. Unlike concrete, you lay concrete down and it builds its PSI strength over time as the concrete cures out. Asphalt, as soon as it goes down, you only have you literally, and I have some charts here that I've made for my guys, just as a little reminder, you literally only have minutes to get it down, depending on how far away from the plant you're at, how far away from the plant your job is, how big the job, how many trucks you've got going. It all is.
And it's the right amount of rolling. You don't want to over-roll it. You don't want to under-roll it.
Correct.
You have to get, and then there's rolling patterns that you could do that make it. So like one of the things that they talked about. Well, getting back to compaction being important. I mentioned it in one of the episodes. The 4 pillars of paving. They keep bringing up this. I called it the 4 pillars, but that's as I saw it. But it's production, the plant, hauling, getting the material to the site, the actual paving operation of the laydown machine, the paving machine. And then the 4th one is compaction. So it's
the rolling.
It's the finish. It's how you get it smooth. It's how you get, you don't really get bumps out per se, but you can. It's a good roller man is the difference between a bumpy mat and a smooth mat. So
well, like you said, a roller is not going to take bumps out of the mat. However, a roller guy, a not so proficient one, can add bumps.
Yeah, that's right.
A roller guy literally can, and I think I mentioned this in one of the episodes. You can have a mediocre paving team, but if you have a really, really good roller guy, it is night and day.
Right.
I mean, I've been out on jobs where we've been busy, and I'm on a machine. I throw a guy on the screed, and I've got a halfway mediocre. I shouldn't say mediocre because that's not fair to the guy. He just isn't fully trained.
Right.
He's not a seasoned laborer. Doesn't really know a whole lot about shoveling and raking. And I can take a crew out like that and put them to work, providing I have a really good roller guy.
Right.
And if I do, the job will go smooth. But if I've got a really good paving team, group of guys, and I have somebody on the roller that's not so great, the whole day is going to be it's going to be a fight.
The roller man has to know the basic principles of rolling too, because he's behind. He's kind of operating by himself because the rest of the crew is moving forward. He's got to kind of keep up with the paving operation because of temperatures. But the paving guy's operating the paver, and if he's the foreman like yourself or the supervisor, owner of the company, he's got to be paying attention to the machine. He can't be constantly looking over his shoulder.
And we're not looking back.
Yeah,
no, that's the hard part. Yeah,
exactly.
And exactly like you said, the whole entire crew of 8, 9, 10 guys is moving with the paver.
Yeah.
And the roller is somewhere in the back.
Yeah.
I
mean, he's got to get his breakdown roll, and then he's got to let temperatures get right, and then he comes in, does the second roll, and then the finish roll.
Right.
So
well, and I've put together these charts that explain to the guys, or try to explain to the guys how much time they really have, which is not a whole lot of time. And so there's nothing that drives me more crazy. We're all sitting around talking, waiting for the first truck to show up. Pavers heating up, warming up, getting ready for the day, and the rollers are filled up with water. First truck goes down, and I'm yelling at the roller guy, "What are you doing?" Well, he's back there cleaning his nozzles.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you clean your nozzles when we were waiting 30 minutes for the truck to arrive? Because we were late. We were late at the plant. The plant was late firing up, or they had an electrical problem.
Traffic on the freeway.
On the freeway.
And
we were just standing around BSing for 30 minutes, and you didn't clean your nozzles out. So there's always those little hiccups in the beginning.
But you got to make sure that like you have on this chart, it shows if the air temperature or is the ground temperature. Yeah, surface
air temp.
Yeah, is 40 degrees.
Yep.
You'll have only in the mat. You're doing a thin lift mat of 1.5 inches.
Correct.
You only have 45 seconds to get on that
So yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this in the, but
we could probably put up a link or something.
I'll get a copy over to Shane. So yeah, what I did is I just put together this just general reference sheet. And I didn't want to put too much information on this because then it just confuses the guys. I put a lot of assumptions. We live here on the coast. There's always a breeze. There's always a light wind going on. So I said, okay, guys, we're going to assume we have a 5-mile-an-hour wind chill. Let's assume that, and let's assume also that the asphalt shows up at 300 degrees.
Yeah.
With those variables, that's the assumption. That's our control. Then we go over to air temp or surface temp. Doesn't matter to me. On a day that's 40 degrees, and like Justin said, you're paving a pretty thin mat, 1.5 inches, literally you've got 45 seconds. Now these aren't my assumptions, or these aren't my calculations, because guys, I'm not a scientist, I'm not that smart, but this is info from the Asphalt Institute, and there's other sources that I gathered this from. So, but let's take an average of 2 inch, and I'll just run down the list. 40 degree day at 2 inch, you've got 1.25 minutes, and then it ranges all the way up to 80 degree day at 2 inch. It doesn't go up that much. You've got 2 minutes, 2 minutes 20 seconds. So let's just round it to 2.5 minutes. You don't have that long. I remember years ago I was in a class in Las Vegas. It was the asphalt seminars in Las Vegas, and I went through a compaction class, and we went through this, and the teacher was that he asked us these different, and he says, okay, I want you guys to write down on a piece of paper what you think. Here's the variable, 40 degree day, 1.5 inches, blah, blah, blah. And we were all, oh, you've got 5 minutes, you got 6 minutes, you got 8 minutes, you got 15 minutes. We were all wrong. It was in the seconds, and we were all shocked.
Yeah, because when things touch surface to surface, the heat transfer
is much
faster.
Oh, it's gone.
The thermal heat you're losing
escapes.
It. So yeah, the thinner the lift, the faster you got to compact it. So you have a little bit more time to work with it, the thicker it is, because it holds its heat better.
Correct.
But that being said, you got to make sure that your roller guy is on it, because if you don't get that compaction, if you don't get that density, which is pretty much achieved in the breakdown roll.
Correct.
Your mat is going to fall apart. It will not stand the test of time.
Right.
Correct. It will fall apart.
And to those guys out there that say, well, what do you mean, like homeowners associations or Mr. Customer, the homeowner, when we're talking about a mat falling apart or a road or a parking lot falling apart,
it ravels.
That's exactly right. When you have a paved surface that didn't get good compaction, what happens is the compound, the asphalt compound, didn't compact. We didn't achieve density, and it all just starts coming apart.
Let me talk about density for a second too, because density means the air voids in between the gravel and the sand in those areas. So when we talk about density, the asphalt, when it's laid down, it's kind of fluffy, I would say. It's got some. If we're doing 3-inch lift, you put 3 1/4 or 3.5. Roughly somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
So
roughly 25% of the mat.
Exactly, because there's push down. I forget there's a term for it, but it gets squished down basically.
Yeah.
And when that roller goes over it, it's pushing the gravel and the sand, and you're minimizing the air voids in between those particulates.
Correct.
And that limits the amount of water and outside debris and stuff that can get in between the mat. Mostly water. You're trying to keep water out,
Correct.
especially in a colder climate where you get freeze and thaw and stuff.
Mhm.
So we have a lot more forgiving temperature out here in Southern
Correct.
California.
Well, and I mentioned this before. Contractors in California are totally spoiled. Some of the crap that I see contractors getting away with out here, or like we always
you
laugh
would never
and joke.
be able to do that.
We laugh and joke and say the gypsies, but some of the stuff that I see contractors get away with here in California would never fly any other place in the world.
Yeah.
Never.
So getting those air voids, the density correct is it's paramount to laying down a good mat.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 8% air voids and less is what they're looking for. Anything more than that is
look at it the other way. Look at it the other way. So when they're doing compaction tests on road base or asphalt, you want 95%.
Yeah.
So which is a 5%.
Well, yeah, there's percentage, but there was a. I'm mentioning because I'm taking all these like classes that are led by engineers and stuff, and they
scientific guy. Yeah. This is a scientific guy over here.
They're like, we per square yard or per square inch. I don't think it's when they do a core sample.
Okay.
I think when they test it, there's like this thing. It's like 8% per something. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. I'm sounding not very technical, but these guys, these engineers, I mean, they really think about it.
Well, no, but I mean,
they have tests. And
laying asphalt is
spend a lot of money.
It's it's a very technical. I mean, with the amount of money that is put into, and I refer to this to Miss Mary Jo homeowner, the big, and this is for commercial properties. The two biggest expenses that any commercial property will ever have, or homeowner will ever have, will be the roof
and the parking lot.
And the parking lot. Yeah, those are the two biggest expenses that they'll ever have. So there's a lot that goes into, and and then you look at California. California has probably more roads than California itself probably has more roads than the western half of the United States combined.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Riverside County is the size. What did we say in one of the episodes?
Like Rhode Island.
Yeah. Riverside County is the size of Rhode Island itself.
Yeah.
I mean, so the amount of money that goes into and the amount of research is it's pretty phenomenal.
No, it is. They do tests and they do things and then they change. And a lot of it, like we said before, the Asphalt Institute, they kind of gear it for the highway class guys and the people that are putting down big sections of roadway. But as far as for us, as commercial contractors, and we're just doing little parking lots and churches and that kind of stuff, those principles still apply. So I mean, this is really good
100%.
because the asphalt, even if it's on a highway, if it's in a parking, it's still cooling down.
Correct.
And depending on the air temperature, that's so important to
Right.
keep an eye on that stuff because you want to do a good job.
Well, in our last episode, we had Carl Reed with Asphalt Coating Engineering here, and which was really great. A lot of fun with Carl, and we were talking about maintenance and seal coating. And I remember when I first started in the asphalt business in the early '90s, it was always in everybody's mind, in the reserve studies, pretty much in everybody's mind. For a commercial, residential, HOA, you're going to get anywhere from about 28 to 30 years.
Yeah.
Now this was 30 years ago. Now, and I just read this recently from the Asphalt Institute, which I'm sure Justin's seen it because you're doing all those classes. I've seen recently where the Asphalt Institute has published information saying that if you maintain the surface of if you maintain the surface of the asphalt appropriately, crack fillers, slurries, chip seals, type 2s, whatever you choose, we can almost get asphalt to last indefinitely.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, you can get it to last a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll last a long time. So with the way, like Justin said, with the technology that's going into, with the way they're fracturing the rock, to where the really type B material is no more, where it's fractured on two sides.
Right.
Now everything has to be type A, where it's fractured on all sides. Well, I mean, when you use that kind of material in a parking lot, of course it's going to last forever. These are highway grade materials.
Yeah, it's locking together much better. It interlocks.
And like you said, those air voids just plummet. They go way down.
Right.
So, and another interesting fact, and I'll mention this, and this is something, I've been doing this a long time, and this is something that I just learned recently, like maybe 2 months ago, because I got called out to evaluate a job that was done by somebody else, and we did compaction tests, and the compaction tests, after they had paved it, rolled it, and everything, it was like in the high 70s. Well, the compaction test company was completely baffled because and this is an interesting fact, and this will be something you may know this already, Justin, but when you pave a roadway, a parking lot, whatever, just the weight of the screed.
Yeah.
Just the weight of the screed
gets you to like 83%.
No, 88.
Yeah, 88%. That's
88%.
Right. Yep. Right. And especially if you have the vibratory screed on. That's what they were really pushing the vibratory screed on. I think that's mostly a highway class.
Yeah, I mean the
machine. Our boys have a vibratory.
It does, but the problem is you have to keep the machine going.
Yeah, you can't stop.
And if you stop it and it vibrates, you'll have a dip.
Yeah.
So me personally, when I'm doing parking lots, roadways, HOAs, I never use the vibratory.
Because we're picking up the screen and dropping it a lot more. It's not long haul paving.
Well, and then you're sitting in one spot waiting for the next truck to back in. Then then you pull forward 30 feet. Then you sit in one spot.
Yep.
I don't use the vibratory at all.
Yeah.
I just let it ride. So the thing that was so baffling on that job is it was paved. It looked pretty decent, but when we took the core samples, it was in the high 70s, and we were trying to figure. And this is beyond my pay grade because. I mean, this goes to the guys that know a heck of a lot more than I do. How in the world? And it looked like a pretty decent job. There were some pretty big cracks.
Right.
It had only been paved 6 months. There were some pretty wide cracks, some pretty good fissures, and that's when I got called out to give my professional opinion on it. And so they were the engineering company was explaining to me that just by the weight of the screed, you're at 88%. Roller one time, you're going to be at 93, 94%, and then you come back a couple minutes later, you do your breakdown, you're done. You're at 95, 96%.
And then there's the finish roll to iron out any roller marks and all that stuff. That's it.
Yeah. So
and then you're done. It was
get
off of it.
Yeah. So it's kind of baffling. So being at in the 70s for compaction, and it looked pretty decent to me. The conclusion of the whole deal is that the mix was too cold as it went through the machine.
Ah,
it wasn't even.
Yeah, because you're not going to get your
enough.
densities. So let's talk about the temperatures. So the machine at the plant that makes it's usually 325, 340, somewhere. That's pretty hot. I know in the wintertime they'll crank up the heat a little bit to keep it warm for transit.
Well,
transportation.
And I think per Caltrans spec, it's not supposed to be over 325 because anything over 325, you start burning out the light ends.
Oh yeah.
The light end oils, which can have adverse effects later on down the road.
So let's just 300 degrees.
325 is a good number to use.
That's when it's made, and then it gets in the truck, and then the truck it's going to cool down unless hopefully they
tarp. Yep.
And then when it gets to goes through the machine, the process, it's going to be 295 to 285. I think is when you want to get
correct
maximum for breakdown.
Correct.
And then anything below that is when you're just kind of kneading it.
Correct.
Getting your secondary roll.
Mm-hmm.
What about for commercial size pavers? I pretty much only use a tandem steel drum roller for all smaller projects.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever use a tire rubber roller on a commercial lot or anything? I mean, I don't see any other guys really doing that. But
no, we haven't. And
because that's usually the secondary roll, they'll get the tire roller on it.
Correct.
And that really aids in getting good compaction.
Yeah, and I think so. You got to look at it on. We always refer to it like highway grade paving. Like when you're looking at highway or not grade, let's call it highway class paving. I mean, highway class paving. You've got miles and miles of road you're doing.
Yeah.
Those rollers, and like Justin said it perfectly. You've got tandem steel, rubber, tandem steel for finish. Well, those rollers are just hitting them at once. And they're moving on because they've got another 5 miles to go. So they hit them at once, back up, they're gone. Hit them at once, back up, they're gone. Then they go to the next roller, rubber roller. He hits it once and he moves on. Then the finish guy hits it once and moves on. I mean, let's call it a caravan.
Yeah.
That's what it takes to get maximum compaction in the lowest amount of time possible, and continue to keep the operation going.
Yeah, because they do have to keep up with the paver.
They have to keep up with the paver. Yeah. They're miles and miles and miles going down the road.
Yeah.
Whereas in parking lots, HOAs, we have a little bit more flexibility because we're in a real tight, confined space. So we're rolling, and a lot of times, I mean, in parking lot paving is a little bit more complicated. It's harder, but it is a little bit more forgiving because you're in kind of a you have your parameters of work area.
Yeah, a lot of times you're going up
so
against
it's
the
easy
curb and all that stuff. Yeah.
So it's easy to get your breakdown quick. And a lot of times,
and we're using a plate too on the edges.
Yeah,
and you don't see a plate on the highway.
No, I don't think I have either. I don't think I have either. Get that piece of crap out of the. We're gonna run it over. But yeah, and so I mean, a lot of times, so in a highway class paving, you have 3 specific rollers doing 3 specific jobs.
Right.
On jobs that you and I do, we might have 1, maybe 2 rollers out there.
Right.
And that 1 or 2 roller is doing all 3. He's doing breakdown, then he's backing up. He's doing, he'll do breakdown, then back up, and then he'll do his finish, and then they might do a cross roll.
Yep.
But it's 1 roller or 2 rollers that are completing everything, and we're in a confined space.
Yeah, and the paver's not moving that fast. We're not paving at 35 feet per minute. We're, my guys are slow. They go on turtle speed, but they pave, 15 feet per minute. They're
not even that fast.
Yeah.
No,
you think so? You're just that slow? Okay.
No. I mean highway paver 20 to 25 mile or 20 mile per hour, 20 to 25 feet per minute.
Yeah.
We're doing probably 3 to 5 feet per minute.
And in the class, in the compaction class, and I've always seen the guys do it, and if they're properly trained, when they're coming up behind the paver or where they're coming to a stopping point, the roller will turn to come back because there was a really cool example they did. They got a ball of clay and had a, what do you call it, for dough, roller for dough, for kneading dough. And he just
what do you call that, a roller pin? Rolling pin?
Yeah. So he had, he pushed it down, and then he tried to roll it flat, and it didn't get the void out.
Right.
So when it turned at a 45-degree angle, and then he went to straighten out the thing, it flattened out the curve because it was easier to flatten it out when the roller bends. So that's pretty interesting, and it's a good eye-opening experience for new guys out there that are paving, and because there's lots of little tricks you could do to leave a good mat.
Right.
Yeah. That's I think it's pretty important.
Was that on the show was that on the class you watched today?
It was on one of these slides. I have these little PowerPoint slides, and I have a roller pattern here for coverage.
Well, no, and I think, that would have been one I'd like to see just because it puts it into a real life scenario that the guys can actually, they can see the dough moving.
I had my guys.
And the asphalt move.
I have a code to watch the thing again, so if you want, I bring them over here, I'll show it to you.
Nice.
Because I have to, remember we got lost internet connection, so I got to finish watching it. They give you a code so you can rewatch the course.
Okay.
And do it again. I don't know how many times you can rewatch it, but I want to make sure my guys finish it. But it's really cool. They just had a really good video display of here's what happens if you just try and do it if you stop, because when the roller stops it kind of leaves a divot and then he goes back. So they went forward, they turned when you had to go back the other direction, and then when they went ahead it just flattened it out. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, and that's where a roller guy will make or break your job because of little things like that. And then I was just paving with the guys in Ventura last week, and I've got a novice operator. He's doing a really good job, and he takes this really serious, and he's fast. But you can actually, and there's something called stretching the mat, where when you're turning,
and you get cracks in it.
Yeah, when you turn, if you turn too tight, because the rollers we're using these days are different than they were 30, 40 years ago. They're all hydraulically articulating, and they literally turn on a dime.
Yeah.
And you could literally turn the wheel all the way, and the rollers will go in a circle. That's how articulating they are. So that type of articulation really is well for us in parking lots. But they can also cause a lot of damage where you turn or twist too abruptly.
And leave roller marks
and it literally will rip the mat to where it just literally will rip it, and then you got to go back and repair it. And
if you're lucky enough, it's still hot enough. But with these short times, and if you already went over it with a roller, that metal drum, it's a heat sink.
Oh yeah, and you've already yeah.
So it's
well, and it just causes my whole thing is my whole philosophy is, we've already talked about the asphalt business being so heavily material burdened, equipment burdened, and labor burdened. Yeah. Okay, well, we're already spending the money on the equipment, so there it is right there. But let the equipment do the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let the equipment.
So speaking of that, that's a good point. That's a good segue into training a guy for a small contractor. For me, it's always been just give them some experience on road base, let them figure out how to operate the machine, and then
to get it down safely.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it down safely.
And then the more experienced guys that have had, they'll start slowly teaching them. Okay, you know, you want to do this, or you want to, you know, from their years of experience, how, you know, don't turn too tight, like you said, you could rip the mat. Yeah, it's a challenge to get, especially if you're in a rural area like we are, to teach a guy how to operate the thing, because it's not like a car where you can just drive. It's not like a little Honda. You can just get it. It's a special, it's a very specialized machine.
Well, and the thing is, you know, and this is where I look back at my past, and you'll agree with me on this, Justin, as well. I look back at my past, and the way I run my company now is kind of the way that I grew up with my grandfather, and the way that he was really abrasive with me. And he just threw me out there and said, hey, you got, you know, this is what you got to get done today, figure it out. And I did. And so that's kind of, I mean, you guys
feeding the wolves.
You guys laugh out there, but I mean, that's kind of my training philosophy.
No, that's how it always is.
Because you're absolutely right. I mean, and I think I mentioned this on one of the episodes before. If a guy's coming to me, and I've had this happen before, if a guy's coming to me claiming to be like a primo asphalt roller operator, and it's in September, why aren't you working? What's wrong with the situation? And I hired a guy. I hired a guy a couple years ago, and he claimed to be a really good. You know, the company he was with just, you know, had a downturn, whatever. He was a really good roller operator. Hired him. He worked for me for about 6 months. You know, at the end of it, when I told him, hey, that it's just not working out, you know, sayonara, I just found out that he was, the previous company, he was just a really good vibroplate guy.
Oh, yeah. So.
Well, I mean, going from...
That's pretty ballsy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, going from... well, I mean, you meet guys, they say, oh, yeah, I can do that.
That's a very different machine, though. Like,
I know.
One's a plate, like a lawnmower, the other one's
he's been compacting asphalt. Well, you know, he's been compacting asphalt.
Well, the reason I brought up, like, training a guy how to roller, because the paving machine, there's two sides. There's a screed. So to train a operator for paver, get him on the screed for a while so he understands it. The roller is only one operator. It's not as forgiving. So to train someone how to do this properly, you can taking Asphalt Institute courses, or reading the books and teaching the guys on the job, or ordering some asphalt on a day you're not busy and getting them on. I mean, there's different ways to do it.
But I think
you don't want to mess up a job. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. I mean, the thing is with what we do, the nice thing is, the nice thing about asphalt, it is very forgiving. And you can go back and repair it.
Yeah.
Concrete, there's no repairing it. You just demo it out and try it again.
Asphalt.
And my guys have done that before. They've gotten elevations wrong, and sorry guys, dig it out and do it again. Yeah. And that's just part of business. Asphalt, a little more forgiving. Like, you got your new toy, that infrared machine. Yep. You know, that would be the perfect thing where you throw your guy out there and say, dude, sorry, sink or swim, you're on the roller today. But in the back of your mind, you know, well, hey, any roller marks, or these joints he doesn't get on these joints quick enough, you know, we'll go infrared them out. Yeah, that's what we did that on Monday this week, because I did a job in speaking about, like, just not being conscientious of, like, weather conditions, because that is what's going to hurt you. We did some patches down by the beach in, I think it was November or December. It was cold, and the days were short, and it wasn't a very big stretch, but the heat got sapped out of the material so fast that we had some issues around. So we went back out with the infrared machine. We got us some new hot mix. We heated it up, added the hot mix back in. They're happy now, but you know, we had to fix it because. Did it look nice after? Oh yeah, they're happy. Yeah. I bet it looked. I got an email. Nice. Yeah, I got the email this morning. It's like, oh, you guys did great. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're the hero now. Yeah, because and I told him, it's like, you gotta wait. It's gonna be a little bit ugly right now. I just can't fix it right now because one's too cold, and you know, I met with them January or whatever. Right. Because it raveled out pretty quick. Right. I mean, as soon as the rains came and people are cranking their wheels, pulling in and out of the driveways in that section, it just kind of chewed it up a little. Well, and that's part of what we do. I mean, that's part of. I mean, and I tell my sales guys all the time, you know, we're like, I compare ourselves to car salesmen. You know, you have the initial meeting where you try to find them the best car. Okay, fine. You get them into the car. And then you got to help them service that car. Right. Well, the asphalt business is the same thing. We none of us like those callbacks. But for my guys, okay, we try to find out what's the best product we're going to get them in. Is it an overlay? Is it a chip seal? Is it a slurry seal? Okay, well, that's our car. Get them into the car. Okay, well, can they afford it? Okay, well, let's get them into the car. Let's do that overlay. Let's do that. And then always the hard part, hey, Mr. Customer, how'd it come out? You like everything? And, you know, Joe Schmo homeowner, Mr. Customer homeowner, well, I saw over by my rose bush, there's no problem. I'll go out, look at it tomorrow. And, and we always hate those phone calls. We always hate it because we want to be moving on to the next.
Yeah.
But you have,
because you lose money when you go back to it.
Exactly. You have to service. And honestly, it might be one of those things where they're just happy you called. And it kind of pisses you off like it does me.
A lot of times.
But a lot of time,
yeah.
You service your job. You sent, the guys are passing by. Hey, Sean, go by and torch that area. Just show the guy you showed up.
Not only that, they're so happy when you come back and you fix it because they want to use you again too.
Correct.
Well, they'll keep you as a client.
And the thing is, and this goes out to you contractors out there. Referral work and word of mouth, reputation is paramount. I mean, there's nothing better than that. People call in the phone book. They call off of Google. Well, they're going to get 3 bids.
Right.
If somebody calls you off a referral, you're probably the only contractor they're calling.
Right. Exactly.
Because you did them right, so they're assuming that they're going to do you right.
One of their really good friends or a contractor that they work with, they said, "Oh, this guy trusts you. Go do it." Yeah, because that's most of my business. Is that it absolutely is because
correct.
Those are the ones you focus on too. Because hey, this person, I'm going to give them 100% of my attention, so we got to do a good job. And a good job is doing the right compaction.
Right.
So getting the good rolling patterns down. So,
exactly right. Yeah.
Because that is the finish. I mean, when it's done, if it's smooth, it looks right. You have no segregation in the mat. You got minimal rock pockets. It's going to look good, and then it's going to last too, because it's not going to ravel out or fall apart.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
One thing that I did see that I found interesting as far as joint construction and compaction is a lot of guys, they'll rake it, they bump it, and they broadcast the rock across the mat.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the big no. They
it's
say
kind
no.
of a no-no.
And one of the guys, the Cal Appa class that I took, he said just bump it, and he left a ridge on the mat. And he says just roll the mat out because you're going to get good density on top of the, it leaves a little bit of a roof over only an inch overlap, and then bump it, and then just crush it down right there. And that was the way to.
Well, and that was it's funny you mentioned that because last week when I was on the job I'm trying to remember, I was in paving a job with the Ventura boys last week, and that was the thing. My raker down there, he kept as I was paving, and I was matching the joint, and I was doing a good job matching the joint.
Right.
And we're gonna go into I think our next episode we should talk about pavers. Specific pavers. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So I was on a Weiler. I think I was on the small one, the 285. Not my favorite, but I will say. But my joints were my joints were coming out pretty nice. But as a raker, they want to rake everything, and I had to keep telling them. And my roller guy, he was on it. I mean, he lives by this, and he was right on my joints. And I kept telling Carlos, "No, back away, just leave it." Because he's walking behind. He wants to stay busy. He wants to do something. Yeah. But as he's bumping it and leveling it, I was like, no, just as my shoe, as my wing was coming through, it leaves a little. As the wing goes up, it pushes the mix. It leaves a little ridge. Right. But then as Amador was coming through, it ironed it out. It was beautiful.
And that's what he said. That was a critical thing. He's like, if your raker man is just standing there leaning on his rake, that's actually really good.
Yeah, that's right.
He's not supposed to
let the equipment do it.
Exactly. Let the equipment do the work.
Yeah.
That's really important. Yeah. As long as you're doing it right, it'll come out.
Yeah, don't get me going off on a tangent with these pavers.
But
because that's a 40-minute episode in itself.
Like the thing is though, it's I'm not gonna say anything right now. But the thing is, for a commercial parking lot, there's a lot of different. When you're doing the parking stalls and there's planners, you got to do a couple passes and then you come out and move. So there's a lot of joint construction compared to a roadway where it's just the middle joint. That's it, pretty much. Correct. So. And
you're forgetting about the start of the day and several times during the day having to build a pad to sit the machine on.
Yep.
I mean, that's all part of
unless you want to set takeoff locks everywhere.
What is this?
You figure out the thickness of the mat it's going to be. You get some 2x4s and you lay them down. And you put the screed on it and then you go from there.
Oh no, but there's still the gap between the building and the back of the paver.
But the guys always build the pad because you could and then they plate it and
exactly right. Yeah, exactly. So I mean that as you said, there's more than just a center joint construction. Right. There's building the pad, taking off, planners.
Right.
all of our equipment wants to go north and south, but then we have all these radiuses and.
Yep. That's true. It's a
so
challenge.
It is.
Anything else you could think about a compaction, or we should talk about?
I would say maybe the size roller.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I mean it's 99% of what you and I do, Justin. 3 to 5 ton roller is plenty.
I have that Hum. I think it's an HD 13i or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's called.
Is it a 3 to 5?
It's a 3 to 5 ton roller,
okay.
I believe. Yeah, and then there's a little bit smaller one. Was that like a 2 to 3 ton roller? I guess.
Well, so we have in our fleet we have a 1 to 2 ton, and they're all actually we do have one Ingersoll ran, a 3 to 5 ton Ingersoll ran in the Ventura crew, but mostly everything's Caterpillar. So we have a small mini, we call her a mini roller. It's like a 1 to 2 ton.
Yeah.
3 to 5 ton, and then a 4 to 6.
Oh, you have a big one.
A little bit bigger. Yeah. No, I mean it's on our paving trailer. I'm sure you've seen it 1,000 times, and it looks just like the other one. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
slightly bigger.
Yeah. Especially with the cat equipment. The cat equipment all kind of looks the same, unless it's a small machine versus. But the medium and the bigger ones in the cat, especially, they're pretty close in size.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So and actually, believe it or not, we use the 3 to 5 to break everything down. And then the finish roll is with that 4 to 6.
Oh wow!
I mean the 4 to 6. Yeah, 3 to 5 for breakdown, quick, easy. It's not going to break the mat. It's not going to leave ridges. Just the 3 to 5 tons, just an all around.
What about the small one, the 1 to 2 ton roller? When you use that for bike lane or
no, I mean we use
driveway?
like patches and stuff, like
patches,
little dig outs, that kind of stuff.
There you go.
I mean we don't use it a whole lot.
Yeah, that's the same with us. We have a little cat one, a CB. I forget what it is. CB something.
Yeah. What is it? It's CB15 or something. Does that sound right?
I think the CB.
I think the CB24 is the 3 to 5, and the CB30 is the 4 to 6, something like that.
Yeah. I have a small one, and it's just
Is it like a 1 to 2 ton?
It blows fuses out, so every time you hit the hammer.
Oh god.
So we gotta get that fixed. Rollers are always maintenance though, because you fill in with water, especially our Ingersoll ran, which everyone loves. My guys love that machine.
Yeah.
It looks like it's 1,000 years old with all the rust, because and it has a steel tank. It wasn't even like
plastic.
It's not plastic. Or it's not lined, or there's no coating. There's no thermoplastic on the inside.
Is it rusty?
It's just like it leaks. Yeah, but it's a good roller. It works. It still works.
Yeah.
And the guys like it. It gets good compaction. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is with an old boy told me this whole thing about rollers. I heard this, years and years ago. He says, look at the fundamentals of what that roller is doing. It's vibrating all day, and it literally just vibrates itself apart.
That's why plate tampers, you go only 2-3 years maximum of those things. I burn through those things all the time. Yeah. Because it just falls apart.
Well, it got to the point with us where we were like, my office was like putting these vibra plates on our balance sheet and stuff, and I was like, those are trash. Those are like throwaway items. We're gonna get one season out of that vibra plate. I mean, why? And they were trying to keep track of numbering all the vibra plates. You guys, this is crazy. These are throwaway as long as they're not getting.
They're expensive to throw away. I mean,
they're expensive.
$2,500, $1,800, somewhere in there.
Yeah, no, I know. But same thing, fundamental. They just vibrate themselves.
Yeah.
And then we've got like our Frankenstein pile. Where we'll like when
because you can get if a plate's still good.
Yeah. We'll rob the motor off of this, or the plate off of that, or the little grommets off of this.
I have that with blowers too, like the old Billy.
Yeah, we have our little Frankenstein. Yeah. And then I mean sometimes like winter project, sometimes it takes like this last winter 2020, my shop took 3 old blowers, but they were able to make one really good one. Well, a little wonder. Yeah, they took 3 old little wonders and they made one really good one. They were. I mean,
because I do that too.
I probably would have trashed them.
No, but that's a good idea though, because you could take like wheels wear out on them. Yeah. When they turn and all that stuff. So it's the same thing. Like just keep it and you can zombify like.
No, we did.
Yeah.
Well, I think one was parked because the fan was totally jacked. Another one, the housing was jacked, and then another one, the engine was blown. So yeah, they took the fan off of one, the shaft off of another one, and the housing on, and somehow they were. I am no mechanic.
Hey, it saves you money.
I mean, blowers are expensive. What's a blower?
That's the same thing.
$1,500, $1,800 bucks.
Same thing. Yeah, for
$2,000. Yeah.
Anyway, so anything else about compaction that you can think of, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we covered it. Make sure you guys and this is, I mean, I'm not talking to guys that don't know anything, but you know, depending on the size of your job, maybe get, you know, another roller out there, have an extra roller.
Oh yeah.
If you're on a big job, and I say this because you'll be happy you did it. The rental company, the rental market now is much different than it was 30 years ago. I mean, you can have United Rentals or Sunbelt or whoever your local renting supplier is, have them drop a 3 to 5 ton roller out there. It's like $180 a day.
Yeah.
And if you've got a good relationship, you know, you can tell your rep, say,
oh, they'll give you a good
dude,
discount.
I'm not going to use it. I just want to have it out here.
Just in case.
Just in case. Yeah. They'll drop it off for you. I mean, the delivery is going to be more than they charge you.
Yeah. It's like $125 or something usually.
Well, that's for both ways.
Yeah.
For pickup and return, $125. The rental on it is $180. But if you're putting down that much material, I mean, it's one of those things. It's an old cliche. It's better to have it there and not need it than not have it there and then you really need it.
Yeah. Especially when the temperature's cooling down so fast.
Then you're screwed. Yeah. Yeah. And then you've got a whole crew of guys out there. I mean, depending on, and you guys got to look at this. You know, I know we're digressing a little bit about paving, but you look at your hourly rate on a paving crew, and I'm sure throughout the nation it's going to be different. But you know, my hourly rate on a paving crew is anywhere from $450 to $500 an hour.
Yeah.
So you know, and so sometimes I have to look at it and say, okay, do I put an extra roller guy on it? Do we throw a couple extra transfers on it? Well, a transfer is $110 an hour. My paving crew is $500 an hour.
Yeah.
You don't have to genius. You don't have to be a genius in that aspect.
Let's go reverse a little bit on that. One more thing to touch base for this compaction episode. What about a small job, like a little postage stamp size driveway, like on a housing tract, where the 2-car garage and just has a little bit of asphalt between the sidewalk and you remember that picture I showed you the other day?
Yeah.
What about a little job like that? A small roller should be fine, or just put the medium sized one on it and just get a couple passes?
Well, because I mean,
I don't think I've seen videos on YouTube. You know, we see all those bad videos where a guy was just putting some like wood shoes on and he just compacted. And that was his advertisement. He's just a one-man show. He demoed it with a little Bobcat. He had a little tiny.
It actually came out pretty good.
And then he put it down but he was letting the asphalt. I mean, I don't know how hot it was, but. He was before
they were taking their time.
No, this is a guy did it by himself. This is another video.
Oh, another video.
This is a totally different one. And he had like these wood like zapatos. He put them on. And he was compacting it that way, and then he got the plate on there. And all he did was, I don't think he had a roller, but he kind of did a finish roll with it because he mostly plated it down.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think about?
Yeah, I mean the bigger equipment you go, the bigger the clearances become.
Yeah.
And when you're in a tight area, I mean even the clearances between a 3 to 5 ton roller and the 1 to 2 ton roller, the clearances are, I mean, it might be a few inches, sideways or front to back. Yeah, I mean it's a little tiny. I mean, I would rather, to answer your question, I mean, if it were my job, I would rather see some kind of roller out there than no roller at all.
Absolutely.
And then just use a vibra plate, because I've seen that too.
Yeah, and then you get the breakdown roll, they lay the material on. A lot of times they just do it by hand for a small driveway with that. And then once it's down, then they'll get the roller.
Vibra plate the whole thing.
Do the edges.
Get out of the way, and then one time with the roller, and done deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that works.
Like I said, I'd rather see, even if you guys bring out a 1 to 2 ton, I'd rather see some kind of roller than no roller.
Because it's not a highway. It's not, it's a small driveway. They're just parking on it. It's not going to be something that's going to have a major traffic pattern on it. It's just a parking space.
Correct.
So it's not. You have a little not more leeway, but you're going to have a little bit. It's a different process. I think it's just slightly different.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But like you said, because of the amount of traffic, the kind of traffic, and the speed of traffic, it is a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
So let's just say you take these numbers. Let's just say we take an average day here on the Central Coast, 70 degrees, and you're putting down 3 inches, and instead of going 2.5 minutes to do your initial, you bump that to 8 minutes. Well, you're probably not going to see the negative effects or the ramifications of the 4-minute time difference or the 6-minute time difference. Just because the type of traffic, the kind of traffic, and how fast
they're
going.
not even turning on it.
They're
just
exactly
straight and coming out.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's a little more forgiving.
Yeah.
If somebody were to go out there and core that driveway, compaction might be a little light. It might be a little light.
Yeah, you're not getting the maximum density.
but the usage, I mean, that'll be a driveway that it'll last that family a lifetime.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It can last 20, 30 years
Yeah,
easily.
exactly.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that we covered most of the items on compaction.
Yeah. And I mean, compaction, we could talk for another hour about it.
Yeah, we could probably do a vibroplate episode.
Yeah,
where it's
sure.
useful on the edges
Yeah,
and all
absolutely,
that stuff. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Actually, we could do a vibroplate episode because we were using the multi-quip.
Yeah.
And then we switched over to Husqvarna.
No, because the reason is that my brother was looking at getting one, and I think that's what he ordered, a Husqvarna. Do you like it?
I love it, or I shouldn't say I love it because I'm not using it, but the guys do love it.
Yeah.
And it's
quality built. Looks like it'll last.
Well,
a while.
the thing that's different with the vibroplate between the multi-quip and the Husqvarna is the multi-quip and the Husqvarna, they both have removable tanks.
Right.
The thing with the multi-quip is it has that plastic bar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know?
Yeah,
you know
for
what I'm
water
talking about? For the
drainage.
water.
Yeah.
So it has a plastic it's about a foot
A
long,
little French drain. It's got the holes in the bottom.
plastic tube, and it just drains water out. Well, those things and it's got grommets that hold it in place. Well, just by default, it beating itself to death, those grommets get loose, it pops out, or the guys load the vibroplate and they push it in and it smashes up against the blower or something. It's always breaking them. Whereas the Husqvarna has a design, it doesn't have anything like that. It doesn't have anything that gets broken in the front. It just has.
Does it have a shutoff?
Yeah.
Open?
Yeah. On top, way out of the way of everything, it has an on and an off. It's just a valve, and it's up top. You don't have to bend over and turn it off, so that's pretty cool for the guys.
Yeah.
It's up on top, turn on, turn off, and it just has like a trough system molded into the metal plate, and the guys love it. It's been great.
That's really cool.
So I ordered. Our rep called me about it. Said, "Oh, you got to try this Husqvarna." I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm like every other contractor. You stick with something. You do something a certain way. Nah, man, I don't want to rock the boat."
Where are you buying it from? Like
WL Supply.
Okay.
They sell us all of our saw cutting blades and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're a multi-quip dealer, Husqvarna dealer, and what's the green company that sells power? No, they sell powerless tools. Not Milwaukee.
Ryobi?
No, they're blue. They're
I don't know.
I can't think of the name. Anyway,
Bosch.
no, it's after we're done recording, I'll think of it. But anyway, they came out with
Mikasa.
Is it?
I don't know. I think there is a Mikasa.
I think so, but I don't think it's that. But anyway, they came out with an all gas
Makita.
I
knew I was.
Yeah, Makita.
I was like, I know it's
Makita came out with an all gas backpack blower and an all gas saw cutter. So they're also WL Supply is also a rep for those guys. So they've been giving us all of our blowers and our saws and all that. So you don't have to mess around with mixed fuel and all that. And I mean, I've had guys blow stuff up because they're not getting the ratios right, or they're plugging up the carburetors because it's a little bit too rich.
Heavy, yeah.
So anyway, so they started selling Husqvarna, and when my rep called me, I was like, no, I'm not interested. And he's like, well, and then he started talking. He started, hey, we've sold 1,000 of these things.
Yeah, Jake. I didn't even know they made vibroplates.
No, I didn't either.
And then Jake told me, I was like, Husqvarna. And right off the bat, I was like, we could try. I don't care. Let's just try it. Maybe it's good. It's just like we need a new one anyway. Right. So just might as well.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we got one. I sent the guys out with it a couple days later because the way my guys are, and they're no different than any other guys. If there's something wrong with it, they're gonna put it in the corner and they're not gonna use it, and there's always gonna be something wrong with it. Mm-hmm. Oh, the carburetor doesn't work. The water system doesn't work.
What you mean? This
and they're
same thing for
prima donnas.
Yeah,
my guys are prima donnas like
I
everyone
don't like
else's.
this one because it leaves too many marks or something. What?
Yeah.
That's because you're using it wrong.
You go out and you buy a brand new roller, new, $60,000 for a roller. Well, we want to use the old one because it leaves marks. They leave
marks. I'm like,
what, dude? Give me a break. So anyway, so the guy, my rep's like, well, I'm gonna send you the link to your email for this Husqvarna vibroplate. He's all, I'm gonna send you the link. Look at it. So I went back to the office, opened up, I think it was a YouTube link, and I was like checking out, and I didn't see that tube. So I called the guy back and I said, okay, send me one. he sent me one. The guys used it for a couple weeks, and then I bought a second one right away and sent it down to the Ventura boys.
Nice.
And I think we're gonna switch everything over to Husqvarna.
That's good to know.
So your brother's been looking at it.
I think we ordered it. I just don't think it showed up.
I mean, I definitely am a big promoter of that one.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
To know. All right,
and it's got a Honda engine on it, so I mean,
it does have a Honda engine.
Can't go wrong with a Honda.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well.
So. This has been our longest episode so far. Yeah, almost an hour.
I didn't even think. It's just like we just kept going on and on.
Well, after 20 minutes, I was thinking I was like, what are we going to talk about next? Here we are.
I know, because it's like what? How much can you talk about compaction? But there's more.
Well,
anyway,
we digress. But anyway.
Until next time, guys, we appreciate you joining us. Feel free to ask us any questions about compaction, or if you see something that you...
Questions, comments.
Absolutely.
Videos you guys would like to see in the future. We're always looking for open to suggestions. Anybody out there that'd like to be on our show?
Yeah, let us know.
Hit us up.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Until next time, we'll see you down the road.
Thank you.